Welcome back to another video. Today we're taking a look, well, you know what thing to look at because it's part 12. They said part 13. This is part 15, not 14. The WDO and the World Order. These are, in the last, okay, what am I on about? In the last video we saw quite a lot happen. We saw Brazil invading Guianas. Honestly, I don't think there's much war-wise last episode. And this is because there was a lot of people joining the alliance. And today we are going to be seeing the WDO and the World Order go to war. Now, straight away you think, oh yeah, the WDO would win. They have all of North America, Colombia, Peru, Chile, all of Europe except from Switzerland, Algeria, Morocco, Nigeria, Arabia, Israelistan, India, China, a good chunk of Southeast Asia, Australia, and then this part of Russia, and then all the World Order stuff is Iran, this part of Russia which is not good at all. It's frozen, except from little parts of it. All of Africa, I mean, yeah, a good chunk of Africa, I mean, South Africa is one of the major powers, but, you know, Brazil, Argentina, you think they'd have the advantage. They don't have a single advantage. Well, they kind of do, but they don't even have an advantage. For some reason, the World Order is extremely strong. Nobody knows why. All the members of WDO have always questioned why, but now their true strength will be shown that they are going to go to war with the WDO. But not just yet, as well, we have both sides kind of meeting in. We have both sides meeting up in Guatemala City to kind of discuss, but both the country leaders. So the three main leaders of obviously the WDO, China, the European Union, and the USA. All their presidents come here, as well as Iran, Brazil, and Russia's leaders. They all meet up in Guatemala and talk things out, saying we should probably lessen the world tensions. This conversation goes on forever, and eventually we have the leaders of the. Oh yeah, there's not just that leaders. There's other leaders from Argentina, Egypt, Sudan, South Africa, just the major players of each alliance. But we have one of the presidents exiting out of his building, going to his vehicle, which obviously is highly protected, but not enough. And this leader meets a bullet to his head. Funny enough, that was the leader of Russia. All the other World Order leaders try to take cover, but another one is shot on the head, which is Brazil. And it's shown that the WDO leaders are nowhere to be seen, and the World Order decides that this was their doing, and we have them meeting up in Tehran. We have them meeting up in Tehran. We have them meeting up in Tehran, which is now just by South Africa's leader, Iran, and the Iranian and probably Argentinian leader. They meet up, decide with Russia, the rest of the government of Russia and Brazil, to declare war on the WDO. Okay, so the WDO and the World Order are now at war. This is going to be the biggest war ever in my whole time of doing mapping. I've never done a global conflict like this. And I'm not excited for the big read, because that's going to take forever. But, yeah, for some reason, the Axis is now the aggressor, so obviously they're going to have the first upper hand. So straight away we're going to come over here down to Africa, where there's really no chance. I mean, Northern Africa, that might be okay, but in all reality, down here, there's really no hope. The Congo, which is still damaged from when they got invaded as the East African Federation, they're not good. They haven't been good. They've not even rebuilt from what's happened. Kind of rebuilt, but this is probably if not the weakest country on, well, not the weakest, but look, they have military. They are definitely a strong country. I'm not saying the Congo's weak, but compared, they really have no hope. So the Congo is wiped out of the war almost immediately, and obviously the WDO just cannot hold off. Gabon, I think I'm going to call it that, although I'm not too sure if it's going to even be in the next episode. Gabon is wiped off, and Equatorial Guinea declares independence and joins the World Order for some reason. And Nigeria actually holds their own for now, as South African troops and Angolan troops starting to enter in from what was Gabon. So yeah, Africa looks like it's easy enough to tell who's going to win. Coming out to South America, we actually don't have Brazil being able to push back. Brazil is, if I'm honest, they weren't exactly ready. Obviously, they were one of the leaders of the Axis, but compared to all the other members of the Axis, they aren't Axis. I don't like calling it that. Maybe because it's red. A World Order. They weren't exactly told by the World Order that they were going to go into war. Obviously, they were at that meeting, but they weren't exactly ready for a whole World War IV. So they get beaten up a little bit, obviously not being back to capital and defeated. They have to get mobilized. But Colombia and Peru are going to put in all they can to invade Brazil until the Americans arrive. For some reason, the Americans are still in that country. Maybe they're training, I don't know. They are able to push in a little bit deep, but honestly, they ain't just invading the rainforest, so I don't think they're doing much. Chile and Argentina is a big stalemate there. But Chile doesn't want to invade anything with Argentina. Over in Europe, why is it so laggy? Over in Europe, it's not looking good for it's not looking good for Russia. For some reason, East Russia is just absolutely a monster. They are extremely strong. All of Europe, including the European Union, is like, what? This Russia is most likely the second strongest country in the world. Well, I wouldn't say second, but I'd say probably in the top 5 somehow. And you could probably make sense of it, but they just got both out of Civil War. What am I on about? Yeah, it's not looking good for it's just uncalled for strength at this point. We have them getting close to Moscow, but luckily enough, the Russians are able to hold back. And yeah, this is just really unfair, isn't it? I don't even know how to explain it. Now we come down to Oceania, where they might actually have a bit of an advantage here. Because New Guinea, not New Guinea, Indonesia was also not exactly ready. In all reality, Indonesia, I don't know, they just don't want to be part of this war in all reality. We have Australia making a landing on New Guinea and being able to capture this entire island very quickly. As New Guinea, well, it's more of a farce, but there were Indonesian troops there. And now we see Malaysian, Siam, Myanmar, and Japanese troops all arriving, as well as Indian. Again, Chinese troops on here, kind of similar to the USA, I guess. They are able to capture Borneo with relative ease. Again, another jungle island. They make landings on this island. Sorry about my pronunciation, but I don't know what this island is. They make land on Sumatra and capture that entire island. And they also make a landing on Java and take over that entire island. And that's it. Indonesia's been wiped out the war. Would they fall that quick? Nope. But I don't exactly care. I want to get through Indonesia so we can focus on the big front line between Russia and China. Before we do that, we're gonna head down over to Africa, where they're starting to get overwhelmed by troops. See, we're holding off, but now they're not. A bunch of troops from Egypt, Darfur, Niger, Chad, Car, all these countries are just overwhelming Nigeria. And Nigeria does discover something a bit interesting about the equipment that the World Order is using. But sadly, they lose all their signal to the WDO as they are starting to get stomped. We do see Algeria and Morocco, as well as the European Union, being able to invade into Libya. And they actually captured Tripoli with relative ease. And this is kind of interesting, and this is kind of an alert towards the African countries, as somehow, in some way, they're able to be beating Libya, who is a pretty strong member of the World Order. They lose their entire coast. At this point, they don't have much left except from probably some important areas, which, you know, is kind of getting invaded right now. I would imagine the Saharan Desert has more gone down at this point, but I can't exactly be honest. Egypt's going to hold out. We're going to come over here to Arabia, or Middle East, where Israeli side is going to go on the defensive. And same with Arabia, but for some reason Arabia doesn't have the best defense, and the World Order kind of just enters in. So yeah, it looks like Arabia wasn't even ready. In all reality, they weren't, as for some reason Kurdistan and Iran are just for some reason strong. Turkey, they were already invaded, so Turkey's wiped off the map immediately. They don't even have a chance in all reality. We have them losing Ankara and Istanbul, obviously. And Fais is captured, and now we have a stalemate approaching with Bulgaria and Greece and all the obviously people stopping them from expanding. This part of Russia is not doing good. East Russia is absolutely demolishing the armies. They're fanning every city. Moscow's literally sending to a crater, as well as them reaching over and capturing St. Petersburg. That's turned into a crater, and it's not even like it's not even funny at this point. Russia just decides that it's over, and they just opt to surrender because there's literally no hope. And now the floodgates have been opened in Europe as Russian troops are lined up on every single border. Well, except Finland, who's for some reason couldn't find Russia, even if it's not old Russia. At this point, the WDO has kind of realised that there's a lack of support from two countries. Now, all the countries have kind of got onto this and have questioned why this country is not supporting them and why there's no fighting going on and why they're not doing much. I didn't mean to say fighting. We'll get to that in a minute, but they're just going to brush off and now keep fighting. As Brazil, for some reason, is still losing. They keep losing land. And eventually, they do get mobilized when the Colombians and Peruvians are there. Chileans are also there, but it looks like it's not going to be lasting long as the Brazilians are now here. and they are not having it. They swing down from the vines and literally kill all these troops. And for some reason, the Americans are not there. The Mexicans are starting to arrive, and Colombia is asking the USA, what are you doing? USA says, we're still getting ready to invade. Same with Europe, in all reality. And now we see something interesting happening. The WDO has actually been able to beat it's been actually able to beat the world order as they actually capitulate Libya and are starting to ready up for the invasion of Egypt, which they do when Egypt's scared. I know they're a strong country, but this is a lot of troops. And with Egypt getting invaded, they're one of the main leaders of the world order, and they lose Cairo, which is kind of... This is honestly weird. That it looks like the tides of war have actually started to change as... well, somehow the WDO is starting to fight back. We see India finally do something as they are fully mobilized, and they begin to push into Iran. India is most likely the second strongest country in this alliance, as they've been rapidly making sure their army's good. And it's kind of shocking how well they're doing in all reality. Iran is one of the strongest countries in the world at this rate. So finally India is now here, and well, looks like the WDO has finally woken up and they're starting to push back. As we have parts of Russia even being liberated, where a lot of troops are actually held. And it looks like now the WDO is starting to win this war. How did the WDO go from losing really badly to winning? Kind of. They finally realised that they got to work together and send their troops in one area. And India's doing that right now. They are sending troops over to Africa, over to South America. The European Union is sending their troops all around the place. Algeria, Morocco, the Saharan Union, Chile, Peru, Mexico, the Central American Union, New Zealand, Australia, Myanmar, Japan, the Philippines, Malaysia, Siam. It's basically just a big group effort. The USA is even kind of helping. But now we have something catastrophic happening for the WDO, and might even lead to its destruction. Remember what was going on with the USA not sending their troops down to South America? Well, that's because they just joined the new world order. The USA joins the world order and betrays the WDO. The leader of the WDO, the USA, the country that has led this alliance since the very beginning of this series. The USA has always run the WDO, and they've always been connected with Europe. The USA has always been there for Europe, but finally they betray Europe and join the New World Order. With this, we have the Caribbean kind of being released. The USA just decided to leave the Caribbean because they didn't need it. And now the world is in shock, and the world order is laughing in their seat as they should have been seen coming. That equipment that Nigeria found was US equipment and also another type of equipment, but we haven't even got that far yet. But how would you not know? How would you not figure out your leader, the leader of your alliance, betrayed you? How would you never figure that out? At this point, it's over. I mean, Brazil is immediately going to be able to push out all the Colombians and Peruvians. They're made look like a joke. Can you load? At this point, the Mexico, who had most of their troops in South America, they're gonna have literally no chance. US troops just steamroll through Mexico, and Mexico's turned into a shish kebab. They're just shish kebab. So the Central American Union is shown to have no hope as well. The Caribbean, they're captured. I don't really want to. Actually, you know what? I will. The American Navy, which is just absolutely massive, it's just gonna bomb all the Caribbean, just absolutely bomb the hell out of the Caribbean right now. Gran Colombia, Peru, and Chile are gonna hold their ground, but it's really not gonna last long. All the progress in Africa is put to a stop as hundreds of thousands of American tanks, not hundreds of thousands, but hundreds of thousands of American troops and thousands of tanks and aircraft are just sweeping through what was progress for the WDO. Nigeria is finally put to an end as they surrender. We have lots of troops turning into the Saharan Union, ending it completely. I got this in that I wasn't meant to. We have Algeria just deciding that there's no point of this war. Tunisia, I don't know, they were taking over for Algeria and surrendered, so Tunisia is also out of the picture. Morocco is going to hold their ground, but honestly, I don't think they are going to be out of the ground. There's hundreds of thousands of troops on the border. The USA takes over Greenland, and at this point, it looks like it might actually be over for. It looks like it might actually be over for the WDO. But they do think there's still a little bit of hope, if there even is. They still have India and China. They still have India and China, don't they? India and China are both really strong countries, and they still have all of Europe on their side. They even have all of Oceania, and they have all control of Indonesia. Yeah. I said that Nigeria found more equipment. That was China's equipment. China also joins the World Order and shows that they will also betraying them. In the Chinese Civil War, the rebellions were being funded by China. The rebellions in Russia were funded by China. In the Russian Civil War, in the Russian Civil War, China was funding the rebellions. Not Iran. Not only Iran. They were being funded by China as well, and the USA. This has been a common thing for ages, and literally none of the people in the world saw this. Obviously, the World Order did. Every country that was in it was told that this would happen. India, the strongest country on the alliance now, is trying to figure out what to do. Well, that's going to be put to stop very quickly, as they just got kicked out of Afghanistan and Iran. Well, Iran fully. And even though India is India is a massive power, there's no hope. Literally no hope. I'm sorry, Tibet, but you didn't even get to last that long. You're also put out of your misery. Bye, Tibet. Honestly, I was thinking about making Tibet. I'm sorry, but I decided nope. Bangladesh, sorry, there's no hope. Myanmar's just gonna have to be steamrolled through. I'll just rerun this, okay? It does not look good for the WDO at all. They have been completely destroyed. All they really have left is Australia, South America, kind of, and Europe, which is about to be shown to not last. American, Chinese, and Russian tanks just go through Morocco, and honestly, Morocco just looks like a joke compared to Denmark at this rate. They get steamrolled within a few hours. It's not even fun at this rate. Morocco surrenders, and with that, Europe is kind of just going to have a domino effect into surrendering. Ukraine, they get invaded. There's not really any hope. Crimea, I can't even believe you've lasted this long, but you have to go now. Bye-bye, Crimea. It was fun while you lasted. I kind of don't know why I made that independent. Belarus, you're not pro-Russian anymore, so you're not going to join, so they get steamrolled. The Baltic Union is just turned into an absolute mess. Poland, you did well, but honestly, I'm surprised you haven't even been disappeared at this point. Kaliningrad, you barely lasted anything. I'm sorry, I love Kaliningrad. Kaliningrad. So at this point, the world order is just completely obliterating these countries one by one. They just send their troops in, wiping them off the face of the earth, and there's no one to stop them except for the European Union and Australia. We have Romania, Hungary, Bulgaria, Serbia being all wiped out, and all that continues is absolute destruction of this entire alliance. Colombia just they don't stand a chance. Peru, you had a civil war and just kind of, So Peru's also taken over, and Chile is the last one holding out, but even then, they may be a mountain, but this is so far in the future. I'm sure there's tanks that are made for mountains. How is even Malaysia, who I don't know how is alive, is gonna get, they lose their part of Borneo, and in all reality there's not really much left of these two countries. That they're very hurt from this war. Siam and Malaysia both decide that there's no hope. So Malaysia, they surrender, and eventually Siam will be captured. All that's left is Japan, as Korea is steamrolled. Japan is able to hold out, but there's no hope. Japan is going to be a pretty hard country to invade, but with how many troops at this point they could just flooding in, there's really no chance. I don't want to colour it in, but I'll colour it in next video. Japan has taken over Australia. They just opt to surrender. Australia is one of the biggest powers in the world at this point, but they have no chance. New Zealand, they also surrender. Well, I don't think New Zealand would surrender because New Zealand's cool like that, but they can't really do anything against literally the entire, basically, the world at this point. All that's left is, well, what remains of Europe. This is all that's left now. And in all reality, this is just not going to go well. Greece, it's completely overwhelmed with troops. Albania is just, they just decide to just die. North Macedonia, they get completely invaded. Montenegro, Montenegro falls asleep as they get invaded. Bosnia, they basically just explode. Croatia gets attacked and just killed. And all that remains is Finland, the Scandinavian Union, Iceland, the UK, well, Scandinavian Union, the UK, Ireland, Finland, and the European Union. Finland, you're good at fighting against Russia, but you're good at fighting against US troops, so let's see who will win. Obviously them. The main part of the Scandinavian Union is taken over. There's no way. Denmark is held to a lot of troops because they didn't. There's just no way. Denmark is completely captured. We have a bunch of US troops landing into Iceland and capturing the entire island. Well, troops are used of the invasion of Greenland I'm on about. Now we have the UK overwhelmed, as well as Ireland, from hundreds of thousands of American troops. Ireland's taken over, as well as Northern Ireland, and the UK is turned into a piece of poop as American troops just enter. And at this point, it's the European Union, and the European Union surrenders to the world order. The WTO is no more. It will never be heard of again. Every country that was in it is gone. All the big players, Australia, the European Union, India, Arabia, Mexico, Colombia, Algeria, Turkey, Russia, UK, Scandinavian Union, they're all gone. It will never be seen again. And that's going to do it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.